Good morning, Julia.
How are you?
How are you?
How is Nashville?
Actually, it's beautiful. So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually in Nashville, downtown Nashville this morning. So you can only see part of my hotel room.
Oh, goodness.
I could have gone down on the street and done like a man on the street kind of a thing, but you know.
Nashville is my favorite vacation place.
Yeah, it's very cool. We went down iconic Broadway this morning and got to see all of the neon, and it was like super fun. So we're too old to go there at night, but in the morning at like 7 o'clock. Yeah, it's great. All right. Well, this morning we have with us Major Adam Flowers from Canadian County. And Jules, I'll let you say a little bit more about Major Flowers, and then let's bring him on.
Well, Major Flowers is known in Canadian County circles as the most popular 13-year-old girl on the internet because he catches predators. And the last time I asked him, and I haven't asked him in a while, we can ask him if this is still accurate, he had a 100% conviction rate. So that is pretty amazing. He catches them red-handed trying to meet 13-year-old girls in Canadian County, and they're toast. So he's
all right. So let's bring him on and ask him.
Good morning.
Good morning, Major Flowers.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well on this raining morning.
Yeah, I just got a video from my son, and it's flooding all the way up to my porch. So,
oh no!
Yay, Oklahoma! Yeah. So, feast or famine. So, do you have a 100% conviction?
Yes, we do actually. Wow. Yeah, 100%.
Well, tell us about that a little bit.
It's kind of like a proud moment for us because, we work hard professionally. We put our evidence together. We catch predators red-handed. So, we haven't had one case ever dismissed or found not guilty. They've all been found guilty that we've arrested in this Internet Crimes Against Children program. So we're very proud of that statistic because we work hard, and obviously we want to hold these predators accountable for their horrendous actions.
Well, and y'all have more arrests than all 76 other counties plus OSBI. Is that statistic still accurate, or are y'all training the other sheriffs to do what you do?
There's actually other agencies now that are working these cases. I don't know what their stats are, but at one time we were.
Yeah.
But we on average, we make 2 arrests a week on average when we do these cases. So, the travelers that want the type of predator that wants to pick up a child, they meet online, or people trading and distributing child sex abuse material or child pornography. So, we got full-time investigators including myself, that is dedicated to this work. So, other agencies, I believe other investigators work part-time doing it, but they still have other duties. Sheriff West is very, very prominent in promoting that we have full-time investigators, that their sole job is to work these cases, and it pays off. OSBI has a unit that does it full-time as well, but they're more reactionary and help other agencies, but they do some of their own investigations as well. But I would still say Canadian County, if it isn't, it's one of the leading top three that makes the most arrests a year.
Wow.
Well, I was kind of disturbed by what you said, just is that 2 arrests a week?
Oh yeah,
Really?
And
yeah,
Oh,
that's the
gross.
average. Yeah.
so how many how many of these bad
Uh,
guys are there out there? It's just
And is
unbelievable.
it skyrocketing or is it just steadily going up or what's going on? Because that seems like a lot.
Oh no, I would think it. I think it's skyrocketing. It's becoming more prominent. We did the show Undercover Underage,
Right.
and for 6 weeks, we arrested 25 predators in 6 weeks. And of course, that show only showed 14 of them, I think, at the most. We did what we call a decoy sprint for 4 days in February. We arrested 14 in 4 days.
Wow.
Then we're running child pornography cases. So, it is skyrocketing. We're getting more and more parents bringing their child in, their phone in, that are being exploited. And at least parents are starting to realize, hey, in my county, we have resources that could deal with it. So it's getting out there that they can actually get help from their sheriff's office, and citizens from other counties as well. We've been very successful in our programs, infamous, I guess, or famous in Oklahoma, and we get people calling from all over the state begging for help as well, and we do help them.
Well, so I want to jump off on that actually. You just mentioned you have a lot of parents who come in and bring their kids in with their phones and they're being exploited. Can you tell parents what to look for? I think that's kind of a big thing right now because I'll bet you, and number one, I'm sure you caution parents all the time to look at their kids' cell phones. And you might just, give that again, that caution. But what are they looking for? I mean,
Sure.
when they look at their kids'
You,
phones.
one of the things that I preach is, before you give your child a device, you need to have a working knowledge of that device. We just don't
Oh,
give
good point.
we just don't give the keys of a car to our kid and say, here you go. They go through driver's ed, they go through training, we ride with them while they have their permit, we make sure that they know what they're doing. And still, that's not 100%, because unfortunately we lose kids in car accidents all the time. But everybody has a pretty general knowledge of, the safety features of a car: seatbelt, driving within the speed limit, defensive driving. Same goes with the phone, but a lot of times parents look at that as a harmless device that makes calls and text messages. Yeah, it has the internet, but I don't think a lot of parents realize what can be downloaded on the phone. These are full-fledged computers now. So kids get a hold of these apps that are designed for anonymity, so they don't have to register. There's Kick, Meagle, Snapchat is another one that has a built-in feature to hide pictures and videos from their parents. That has a separate passcode, and if parents don't know about it, they don't realize the dangers of what their kids are doing. So
What was
they
the other
use
one called? Meagle?
Omegle. Yeah, that's just a random chat app. That is, when we do our decoy sprints,
Meagle.
that's another one. It's Omeg. Omegle, I think that's how you spell it. But it's just a random chat app that kids download and they get connected to random people. And there's a lot of exploitation on there. Lots of exploitation. So
So I love what you said. I mean, so let's say they let their kid have Snapchat, or they get on and they go, "Oh my gosh, you've got the Snapchat app. Get that off." How do you there weren't, even when my kids were little, because we were, really policing it during the middle school years. That was our thing, is you can't have the phone in your bedroom at night. We had to take it away. We had to do random checks of their cell phones and stuff like that. But they didn't really have the apps that they have now that can kind of police the phone for you. Do you know of any of those that you can tell parents to hey, look at this app, or whatever?
yeah, absolutely. There are programs out there that you can subscribe to that are parental features, that have, what the child's downloading, how much they're using their phone. You can even restrict the hours of the day. Then there are built-in parental features, such as, I believe the iPhone and even the Android platform has a lock on it that you can't even child can't even download an app from the Play Store or App Store without a passcode from you. And that gives you the ability to, what app is this? You can do your own research. You can reach out to somebody. Is this a safe app? Is this not safe? What are they? This is what they're telling me it's for. It's important to have those features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. This is what they're telling me it's for.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Mom, it's not for that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh yeah. I've had young kids. I know how this works.
oh yeah, absolutely. My kids tried to put, when they were younger, they tried to play that with me as well, and unfortunately, they got a dad that understands
Yeah.
what the world out there is and what these apps are for. So,
Yeah.
Yes, you have to be
Yeah.
diligent for sure.
absolutely, you got to. I mean, these are doorways to the depraved and evil that will spend resources and time to exploit and take your child from you. So,
Yeah.
we have to have that extra step and have these features put in place. The fact that your child knows at any given moment, at any time, that they can get their phone taken and examined is huge. And
Right.
and that's something a parent needs to instill in their child. I can look at this phone whenever. And if you have apps on here that you're trying to hide stuff from me, or you're deleting apps and reinstalling apps, I'm going to see it. And, the best way to handle that is to use these parental features that are built into the phone that'll
Right.
help you police it.
Well, and then go ahead, Jules.
Well, I was going to ask, what all these people 2 a week. I mean, that's like every profession, every kind of person that you can imagine. Have you arrested? Is there a percentage of women?
Um, you know, Women work a little bit different. They like to build a relationship. Generally, they like to build a relationship with the victim over time versus being more spontaneous, like a man would be on chat apps. Not saying it doesn't happen; it does. In fact, there was a prominent streamer that's alleged female. They called Megan Sings, I believe,
Wow.
that's been caught grooming children. So it happens, but that's why we see a lot of the teachers that are the women teachers, when they victimize their students, it doesn't just happen in 24 hours. They build that relationship, that emotional attachment. That's why it goes on for almost a year before they get caught.
Wow.
They just
Oh,
work with it.
goodness. But like,
So You made a comment just a second ago that I really want to get into. You said grooming children. So Julia and I and all of us, we started researching, discussing books in the library,
In the school.
years and years ago. And when we started getting that information out to the public, they demonize us. The first thing they do is call us book burners, and then they go on from there. But there's so many people who don't understand the concept of grooming. You're the person who can explain that. Can you explain that concept?
Sure. Grooming is the process of introducing material, ideas, actions to a child and making it okay, normalizing it, that it, while it may be uncomfortable initially to talk about, it's okay. So by using books, for instance, and putting them in schools, uh, having children to read basically pornography, what's happening is it's really and truly, you know, it, it's not about equal rights. It's about normalizing sex to a child with a developing mind and saying it's okay. And then when you open the door and it's okay, and they start feeling that way, a predator will use that momentum to exploit and rape a child eventually, and the child thinks it's okay. You're normalizing sick and twisted behavior. You know, if you're looking for equal rights, and and you have a book talking about, why slavery was horrible, and or why I lost my job for being choosing to be gay or something, is a lot different than when you have a book out there talking about the first sexual experience they had in a same-sex fashion, and while it hurt, it was okay, and then it turned into pleasure. You're telling a child that even though it hurts, it's okay, and it's good, and if you don't like it, there's something wrong with you. So that takes a
So it's
lot of
basically
power out of
the
reporting.
Yeah.
power out of reporting. I kind of overtalked you there. So that takes power out of reporting, because once the groomer has allowed the kid to believe that this is okay, then they're not going to report it because it's okay.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Is that what you're
In
saying?
fact, absolutely. And it opens them up to, well, there's nothing wrong here because, look at all this material out here that says it's okay. Look at all these movements out here that say it's okay. You know, um, they're not a predator. They're just age fluid is a term that I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you just say?
Age
Age,
fluid.
age fluid. Yeah. Yeah. Meaning age, there's no age that is off limits. It's kind of like having I'm just sexually
Oh my
attracted to
goodness.
minor persons, SAMP, sexually attracted minor persons is another one. Matter of fact, there's material out there that show like a silhouette of an adult bending over talking to a child, but inside the silhouette of the adult is another silhouette of a child portraying that adult really as a
Gross.
child with another child. As this is why I'm really a child, because I love children. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting.
Ugh. Wow.
I can imagine in your job you hear and see things you can't wash your eyeballs
You
or your
bleach my
brain.
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen videos, the child, what we call CSAM, child sexual abuse material, which is replacing the term child pornography. Um, I've seen videos where the child dies at the end. I've seen videos where
Oh,
the child is begging for help. You know, videos that do nothing but glorify torture and bondage. You know, Yeah,
Of
you can't.
children.
Yeah, of children, of infants, babies, and you can't get that out of your head. No matter how much exercise, going to the gym. I mean, you take that trauma home to your family as well. I mean, you can't unsee that. I was having nightmares in the middle of the night, waking up, biting my tongue off, tip of my tongue off, until I finally had to put a mouth guard in because I was having nightmares. I was fighting in my sleep, because of what I had to witness and watch. I mean, it's traumatizing. I mean, you can't. You're watching rape videos. I mean, it's rape.
And
I mean, there's
We
nothing
have
else
to all put
you can say.
Adam Flowers on he's Major Adam Flowers. Put him on your prayer list right
right,
now.
Well,
right.
Oh my gosh, guard
Well,
against all of that.
if
That's
y'all
terrible.
if y'all remember when Senator Shorty got arrested, and I thought Shorty was one of the good guys, and I um, I saw Sheriff West at a coffee, like that had just happened, and I saw him like in a day or two, and I just went over to Chris and I was like, "How do you do what you do?" And I just I y'all are on my prayer list and have been because that shook me to my core. And
mhm,
I didn't have to see anything. I just knew that somebody that I thought was a good guy was a bad guy, and
mhm.
it rocked your world. I mean, you think, good grief, am I that terrible a judge of people? Well, you just never know.
But see, you bring up a great topic, Jules, because I think Major Flowers would say the same thing. I think that's why parents, especially parents who have kids in school and they really love their teacher, or they think the band teacher's great, or the soccer coach is phenomenal, and we don't have a better one than that. I think there's kind of a
Trust.
disconnect there because there's a trust. And
Yeah.
so it can't be the soccer coach. It can't be that. And you guys in Mustang or was it Mustang or Yukon that just had,
Mustang.
was it Mustang?
Yeah. Somebody got arrested that had been, uh, you know, having an affair, I guess, or whatever you call it, with a child for like 10 years. It was a mess. And of course,
Well, and it's the same way
why in the world does the media sweep these things under the rug?
under the
I
rug.
mean, we heard the one report and then that guy's just out walking the streets again.
Mhm.
Why is that? How does that happen?
You
I
know,
don't understand.
we used to
Yeah.
have,
Do you have any thoughts?
we actually used to have media coverage on our arrests all the time, and the only people that'll report it now are the local newspapers. The media doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
They uh, the people from underage reached out to them. Hey, we were at Oklahoma. We're going to feature Oklahoma. Media wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
I don't. It's not journalism anymore, in my opinion.
Right.
They have their views, and that's what they're pushing down our throats.
Yeah.
And this acceptance and wokeness is just sickening.
They're just
You know,
ushering in all this evil and by not, I mean, our media is supposed to be the ones that report these things so we can stop it, because imagine if everyone was aware of all of this stuff going on, it would stop. It would stop.
yeah, it would push it more underground before the internet. I mean, even though it happened before the internet really gave a platform
Oh, yeah.
because it is unregulated, and it blew up. Groups were formed, people were able to communicate. They didn't have to know each other's physical addresses or real names, but then they could start sharing the material. And you know
Right.
you
Grooming.
know you have to have a license to fish in Oklahoma, but you don't have to have a license to be on the internet. And I'm not, and it don't take that as I believe everybody has to have a license to be tracked to be on the internet. What I'm saying is that I think we focus our time into certain aspects, like fishing, license to fish, and having an agency that does nothing to make sure that you are licensed so you don't fish and hunt illegally. But the internet, I mean, we really don't have any regulatory authority or law enforcement very often that's dedicated just to internet crimes. And yet, what crime do you know now that's not committed with this smartphone that has connection to the internet? And they use the internet to facilitate their crimes. I mean, it's mind blowing.
That's that's an excellent point. So let me jump back to something we were talking about a second ago. And you were adjuring parents to make sure that they knew what was going on their phone. So let's say a parent hasn't put any protections on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they looking for? I mean, if they get on, what are they looking for?
You know, they're looking.
You've talked about some apps.
Yeah, they need to look for apps that are designed for communication, such as texting apps like Text Free, Text Plus, WhatsApp. Those are prominent texting apps. Social media apps: Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Meagle, Chat Roulette. I mean, there's a dime a dozen. And basically, if they see an app and they don't know what it is, they need to Google it, because they're going to be able to find out quickly what that app is designed for. You know, if they have a phone that has 3 different calculator apps, I can probably tell you that there's a calculator built into the phone, but the other apps, they could be a calculator, but generally they're called a photo vault, and they portray themselves as a calculator until the child puts in a passcode, a number sequence, and then it turns into a gallery of pictures, probably nudes of themselves or other kids, that hides it from the parents.
So calculator app.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see, I wouldn't have thought about that in a million years. So parents more than one calculator app.
They're called photo vaults, is what they're called.
Wow.
But they'll portray themselves as a legitimate app, such as a calculator, program, or something that looks non-suspicious. And that's exactly what they're really designed to do, until they put the code in, and then it switches it from a calculator to a gallery where the photos are saved.
So why aren't the people that create these things going to jail? Why aren't they locked up and thrown away?
The what keeps them out of legal trouble is their terms of service that says you're not to use this app. This app isn't designed to facilitate illegal or criminal activity. And that's really kind of enough to get the intent out of the way. Now, there have been cases against app developers that have been brought to federal court, because it's obvious, even though that statement is put in their terms of service, they're constantly building pathways for, prostitution, human trafficking, escort services, like, Craigslist, for instance, Backpage. They were huge into human trafficking, and they were getting ready to get prosecuted until they had to take some drastic actions to show that they're trying to fight it. But there were charges federally brought up on them, so it happens. It's just a slow process.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. There are so many questions running around in my head right now, because I thought I was fairly, like awake. Yeah, and enlightened. And now you're like really scaring me, because this is really, I didn't realize it was that bad. I'm hoping parents are doing this. So if, let's say, a parent opens up WhatsApp, for example, and they see some text messages in there that are making the hair on the back of their neck stand up, what do? They need
to contact law enforcement. A lot of times parents will want to take matters into their own hands and start to, hey, you're talking to my kid, I'm going to turn you into the police and this and that. And while I get it, as a parent, you're mad, you're furious, you want to protect, the mama bear or papa bear comes out in you. But what you really have done is just notified the predator that, yeah, I'm gonna turn you in. So they're gonna delete their phone. They're gonna maybe destroy their phone. They're gonna
Use the
hide. Versus if you give it to law enforcement, you know, we can run our search warrants, find out who they are, continue to talk to them with maybe another decoy and not tip them off, and then catch them red-handed and throw them in jail.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
looking.
I'm gonna move this conversation a little bit towards the
Okay.
schools.
Oh, okay.
So if say I have so many friends that are teachers. I was raised by one. Anyway, they're always saying that we're bashing teachers or we're against public education and all of those things. But if one of the good teachers sees a pornographic book, one of these many books on the list we've been putting out, if she sees it in someone else's classroom and turns that other teacher in, what would happen? Would that other teacher be arrested for having that pornographic book in her classroom, or how would that work?
Well, I think it all depends exactly on what the school policy is on it. I know that our sheriff won't put up with pornographic books at all. I mean, there's Oklahoma state statutes by providing pornographic material to a child. I mean, it's illegal.
Right.
And pornography doesn't have to be pictures, it can be words as well. I mean, there's, things that in these books that are no different than erotic stories that you see in pornographic magazines. So,
Right.
if that teacher follows, unfortunately, they're going to be demonized because there are a lot of educators out there, and maybe not in Oklahoma, but there are a lot of educators out there that are promoting this and violating free speech and stuff. Look, it's not free speech, in my opinion, because free speech ends when my fist hits your nose. So I can't run into a building and yell fire. I can't run into a daycare and start opening a book and showing uh, nude photos of people or read about sex to them, and that's essentially what's really going on.
Right.
In Canadian County, if they report it to the sheriff's office, obviously we would investigate it, and if there's a case there, we'll present charges to the district attorney's office. I know that the schools in Canadian County have been very receptive to those concerns. I know firsthand of one school district that I'm real proud to say that they do regular inspections of the books, and they stick to a T. They don't play the games. You can't have these books, and if you're caught having these books, you're going to be reported and be out without a job. So
So I'm going to jump in there and say, so I'm adding this. This was a book that we actually brought to you. I guess a year ago.
Yeah.
Julie and I came and met with you because some of the books that we were finding inside libraries were we just completely inappropriate. And here's the thing. I mean, people say frequently, well, you're book burners, or you're just trying to get in the middle of parents, and we're not. I mean, there's developmentally appropriate things. So if you want your child to read this garbage, okay, fair on you.
Okay.
That's your well, I agree, Jules. It's not okay, but I'm just saying but it's not okay for the state to pay for these kinds of books and then allow them to be accessible by the children that they're supposed to be protecting and educating. And Jack of Hearts and Other Parts is in several Oklahoma County libraries, but it was just recently brought up by one of the Moms for Liberty as being in one of their schools in Tulsa. I think it's in Union. And Jack of Hearts and Other Parts is what we gave to you. And you can kind of see, it's hard to, so it says here, Jack has a lot of sex and he's not ashamed of it. While he's sometimes ostracized and gossip constantly rages about his sex life, Jack always believes that it could be worse, quote unquote. And then this says, here's what the killer is. And we had Janelle Shellum on one time, who actually reads books that are given to, the kids in high school are told they have to read the books. They're assigned these particular books. And Janelle Shellum goes and reads them. And we actually have an interview with her in our video stack of the books that she looks at. And her point is really good, because right here on, as you can see on Amazon, it says groundbreaking and page turning, Jack of Hearts and Other Parts celebrates the freedom to be oneself, especially in the face of adversity. So a parent looks at that and they don't quite get what's in the book. And it says right here, a modern, fresh YA debut about an unapologetically queer teen working to uncover a blackmailer threatening him back into the closet. So that's actually a book in the library. And then here's some wording from this particular book. I don't know, but Jack was like orchestrating the whole thing. He totally seduced them all in there and started the 4G. What did Tori do? What? When she walked in on them? I don't know. I guess she just closed the door. I would have watched. No, you wouldn't have. Yes, you would have. I mean, this is just a 4G in Hannah Ling's hot tub. It's like his life is like porno. Is this like that for all gay guys? And then they even go on to talk about his penis. And then they talk about going on about bottoming. And then he says, at one point, this one girl says, oh man, I wish I was a gay boy. I could blank that blank of his and we could go have orgies all the time.
Wow. And that's in the school in Union, you think?
In Union, yes. And this is what this book is.
And so books like this in several schools across Oklahoma. So these types of books are in schools in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the worst of it,
couldn't get a bill passed.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm just
unions. Yeah.
So some of the stuff that we read to you when we visited with you that one day, you said, if I had seen this on the internet, we would have arrested that person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we had a predator and one of our decoys talking about, I want to involve you in orgies in the hot tub. I want you to bottom for me. I mean, that satisfies the state statute of exploiting a child with sexual communication. I mean, you can't do that. And then, you have this book and honestly, the parts that I've read and heard when you brought it, I mean, you were being pretty mild because it goes into graphic detail. It has nothing to do about a gay boy that's not treated right and doesn't have the same rights and isn't allowed to participate in school functions, and it isn't an equal rights thing. It's normalizing, in my opinion, these orgies and random sex acts. I mean, diseases are spread. I mean, there's no relationship building. It's not about love. It's about physical pleasure, and you know, you go out and have a lot of these sexual partners, you're going to be more prone to diseases. I mean, I don't care if it's heterosexual or homosexual.
Yeah.
And, it's not a safe message at all. It's not a message about being equal, or I got kicked out of Glee Club because I'm gay, or I can't play football or basketball because I'm gay. Well, it's not about that, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the book was normalizing sexual homosexual acts, but not in a safe way. I mean, it's not about safe sex either. It's about having orgies and hot tubs, and it's going to hurt the first time, but it's okay. And I mean, it's disgusting. So
Yeah,
no,
it's depravity.
it's not being a book burner. There are books out there that aren't allowed in schools anymore that I think it's a crying shame that they've taken them out, like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not a book burner, but I think public schools and books like this, first of all, if that was in my opinion, probably a heterosexual uh, sex act that they were talking about in that detail, you'd have people left and right saying, "Oh, this is absolutely gross. It doesn't need to be in the schools. Kids don't need to see this." Um, but
But
it,
when parents approach school boards about things like this, they get treated like pond scum in some of our school districts. And
Yeah.
I mean, why? Why would any adult, any decent adult, want anything like that in front of any kids? I mean, it's like we have brown wrappers over Penthouse, in the store. And you can't, and these are people saying, "Oh no, let's show them everything. Let's let them talk about this disgusting." I mean, it's just unbelievable that parents are treated so poorly by people that call themselves educators, which I'm going to have to argue with because that is not education.
no, that's indoctrination.
Yes.
Well, grooming. I
Grooming.
mean, that's kind of when I wanted you to give us the definition of grooming earlier, because if grooming is what you said, which is making otherwise taboo or inappropriate subject matter okay, and normalizing that, and that is grooming,
Yep,
then I don't
absolutely.
see how having a book in the library that talks about anal sex specifically is necessarily not grooming. So, just out of curiosity, let's say, some parent brought this book to the sheriff's office and said, this is in it. Do you think, because you already said what Sheriff West would do, he would take it and, go to the school and say, hey, if you have this book, it needs to go, or I'm going to arrest you. What can parents do in their own counties with their own sheriffs to seemingly maybe get some of their control back?
Yeah. You know, Fortunately for Canadian County, we have a sheriff that believes in the rule of law, and other sheriffs, all the other sheriffs that I've met have that same feeling. They need to sit down with the sheriff, their elected sheriff, and bring these concerns to the sheriff. You don't, I mean, this is, and then let the sheriff issue the order. We're going to start investigating this, this, and this. We're going to run search warrants. You say that this book is in the school. This is a picture of the book in the school. This is what's in the book. Run, the sheriff can order search warrants and stuff to be done. You have to talk to the sheriff. It's not the deputy that's elected, ladies and gentlemen. It's not me that's elected. It's Sheriff West that's elected for Canadian County, and or whatever sheriff in whatever county that you're in. That's who you need to talk to. They're your elected sheriff. They're elected by the people. They answer to the people. So they're going to talk to you. You may have to make an appointment. I mean, I doubt that you could just walk in anywhere and be seen on the fly. I mean, there's a possibility that the sheriff may not be busy, but make an appointment and start that process and having that conversation, because the sheriff may not be aware of it. I mean, you know, we know. I mean, you met with Sheriff West. I was there. You know, 100% agreed with you. I mean, this type of stuff that is in this book, if it was talked about between a man and a child on the internet, it would be grooming, sexual exploitation, and it would be done. I mean, an adult can't try to convince a child to have anal sex with them that it's going to hurt, but it's going to be okay. They're going to bottom. I want you to talk about this or that. A line's been crossed and a crime's been committed. So,
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and I've got to say, when we were invited to the sheriff's association, and those guys were ready to go hunt them down and get them right that minute, and because we showed them the evidence of the books and where they were, and I don't know exactly how that played out in the other counties, but I know. Already knew Sheriff West had already been proactive in Canadian County. And as a matter of fact, our person that was doing most of the research, Molly, she said, well, if I was a parent, I would want to live in Canadian County. So, because
yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, Major Flowers, what is the sheriff the most powerful law enforcement agents in the whole county?
He very few municipalities elect the chief of police. I know Minko does, and I think maybe Altus. But what makes the sheriff's office unique is that they're elected by the people. They answer to the people. So, they run an election cycle of 4 years. Like the chief of police in like Oklahoma City, they're not elected by the citizens of Oklahoma City. They answer to city managers and city councils. Their jurisdiction wise, if it's within the county, I mean, the sheriff has jurisdiction. Now, we 100% work with other law enforcement agencies, and we do not walk into a city like Yukon and tell their police department, we're just going to take this investigation from you because we have jurisdiction too. We've never done that, never will do that. The only time something like that you may ever see happening is if it's an investigation of corruption. And let me repeat, none of that is going on in Canadian County. We are very fortunate. In fact, the sheriff has cross-commissioned every law enforcement agency in Canadian County, so they're not just bound by the city limits, that if there's a crime outside their city limits that's affecting their city, they can go outside their city and they have the power of the sheriff to make arrests and do investigations. We're not about limiting and having jurisdictional wars. No, we want police to be police. The sheriff just has, in our state constitution, they're elected. They're considered, I don't think the ultimate law enforcement agent, but, really and truly, I mean, when you're elected by the people and you answer by the people and you don't have jurisdictional boundaries, I mean, you do have quite a bit of authority. But again, we work with all the law enforcement agencies, and most sheriffs do. But the sheriff is, I think, the office that's most accountable because, they don't answer to officials, they answer to the people.
A board, yeah.
And that's what I'm very pro, vote them in. They have to answer. They have to do their job. They're going to be held accountable by the voters. They're going to be a representative. We're a republic, a representative government. We're not a democracy. Democracies would be bad. That means if 51% vote one way, no matter what that topic is, that's going to be the law. No, we have we're a republic. We send representatives to represent us in the districts, and it's as fair as it can be. I mean, nothing's 100% fair, but the sheriff is a representative of the people. It's an elected position. So I'm very proud to work for a sheriff's office.
Yeah.
I wanted to plug your show, the Underage Undercover show. It's on Hulu Live, and I haven't gotten to watch it yet. We have Hulu, but we didn't have the Hulu Live, so we got to figure out, is there other ways to watch your show?
Yeah, Max, HBO Max, their platform has it on there for streaming, and the entire season is up now, so you can binge watch it on HBO Max. So stream it.
Scrub your eyeballs, right?
Yeah, binge watch it, and I think if you get the premium package, which is $10 or $11 a month, and there's no commercials, so you can watch the whole show. You don't get the cliffhangers.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's funny. Me and my wife, when we watch it, she would, what happens next? What happens next? It's like, how do you know what happens next? I told you everything, because she's my outlet. When I come home from these arrests, I tell her I need to vent. I was like, oh, you're not going to believe this guy. Oh, that's the guy? Yeah. So.
Oh gosh. So if you had anything to just kind of close it up and make sure that parents are the most informed, just kind of run down the list of things that you would tell parents about, let's kind of recap.
Sure. I think of all the things that I've said and everything, the apps and all the things that you can do to help police this, it all comes down to one thing, and that's being involved in your child's life. And parental involvement is key, because if the child doesn't believe that you're there, or that they don't believe that you're involved, or that you really just let them do whatever, that's where a lot of the danger comes in. I mean, my kids know I'm involved. I know what they do at school. I know where they're going. It's not uncommon for me to call them up. Where are you at? What are you doing? Their friends find it weird, but to my kids, it's not. I'm involved, and it's because I love my children, and it's because that I care and I want to protect them, but at the same time, give them a little bit of freedom until they prove that they don't need that freedom.
Right.
Parental involvement is the key, because if you're involved, all the other things are going to fall in place. The policing of the apps, parental rights on the phone, kids knowing that the phone can be inspected at any time. Kids have no privacy until they're completely out of the house, paying for their own way. My kids know that because me and my wife are involved, and that's it. That is what when I preach in my outreach programs that I do internet safety programs for free. It all comes down to being involved, not putting the shroud of, oh, my kids would never do that type of thing. No, kids are going to do that. They're going to make mistakes. That they're kids, They're kids.
Curious.
Even if they're 18, they're still kids. They very seldom do I see the ability of an 18-year-old to go live on their own 100%. You just don't see that anymore. 50, 60, 70 years ago, you could. Culture's changed. Dependency has changed, but parental involvement is the key to protecting your children.
And so one of the problems that I've seen, or that I think is a problem because it's changed so drastically, especially since the COVID hysteria, schools actually lock parents out. And they've committed no crime. Why? I mean, I would call that kidnapping. If they had my kid inside and they locked me outside, that would not happen. But so how do parents get in? Parents need to be in there looking at what's on the bookshelf. And
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Um,
Be a presence.
it's you're absolutely right. Um, Now, here's the downside of this too, and we got to take both sides into it, and why schools just don't let. There are just for the same reason there are people with ideas that go into the school thing, and you're gonna put the teacher on notice. I want this book in here. I want you to teach it this way. When a kid makes a bad grade, I saw a cartoon the other day. And when in the past, you showed the kid coming home and the parents asking, uh, "Did you make a good grade at school today? It's your fault that you failed the test or something." And then today, the kid is with the parents yelling at the teacher, "Why did my kid make a bad grade?"
Yeah.
The involvement
Yeah.
needs to come into PTA, parent teacher associations. You need to be involved. Volunteer is a great way. Volunteer with the school. That's one way that you can get into the school and make sure things are doing right and doing good for them. You know, we're talking, unfortunately, just like in my case on the internet, I talk about the 5%, the 5% of the internet that is just horrific and evil that I have to deal with. We're talking about that at 5% can do a lot of damage. You
Yeah.
know, 5% of the school teachers that support this type of material, they could do a lot of damage. We need to fight. Yeah, we need to get on school boards. School boards aren't supporting us. You know, it's happening. School boards are being taken over by uh, sane parents that want to make sure that those schools adhere to the rules of being educators and educating our children, not providing depraved pornographic material to our children and pushing agendas.
Right.
We need to, and again, the schools come from our tax dollars. Again, we have a say. And
Right.
unfortunately in Oklahoma too, we have a lot of power to the parent. You can homeschool. There are online schools that you can enroll your child into and homeschool them that are going to be just academic based only. You know,
Right.
it's tough. And two, we let this creep up on us. And I know I'm blabbing, but on my soapbox, but this has been the water's been slowly turned up and now it's boiling. And
Right.
they just didn't throw us in a boiling pot of water. We would have seen it and reacted immediately, but they slowly, these agendas slowly turned up. And now
Right.
now we're having to deal with 10, 15, 25 years of indoctrination with our kids. And it finally hit that breaking point that we said, no, 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 it's too much. And we've let it go on for so long. It's easier to move forward than it is to fix. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tough,
Yeah.
but it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
impossible, and we got to fight.
Yeah. Well, and we have to fight for our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
And we
this
have to
isn't
fight
this
for the
isn't okay.
purity of our kids. Yeah.
Yeah, kids need to be learning
Because
arithmetic, not about jack of hearts. Sorry,
Exactly.
yes.
Well,
And other
and
parts. Don't forget the other
and
parts.
the other parts. I mean, if I had a book like that as a kid, it wouldn't be Jack of Hearts. It would be like a Playboy magazine. I got my butt beat. My parents. This isn't okay. This isn't safe. This is bad. This is objectifying. A gentleman doesn't look at this. I mean, it's not. Within our religious beliefs. Curiosity was there, but it wasn't allowed in the house, and there was punishment. For it. Because I used the most secure hiding spot ever that a teenager could find, and that was right there between those mattresses that nobody ever looks at.
well, and one of the things that I always looked for when my kids were growing up, even the little cartoons and everything else, if they represented parents as being stupid, we did not watch it in our house.
Oh
And
no.
as a Sunday school teacher of 4-year-olds, I could tell you whose kids watched those shows. I could
Mhm.
name them. It's like that kid because of their attitude.
Mhm.
And I mean, Rugrats was not allowed.
Well, yeah.
Like,
And and now Rugrats is considered so mild and vanilla. I mean, the
right,
stuff that our
No.
kids have access to
Yeah.
now is just
exactly.
mind-boggling and blowing.
Yeah,
But it starts off somewhere,
right.
moves to others. I
It,
mean, it went to The Simpsons and then The Family Guy and the American
yes.
Dad and things like that. So,
We just have a good question for you. What would you advise a parent to do if a school employee is Snapchatting a student in middle school?
oh, first of all, that is one of the things that I preach against. Schools should not use Snapchat, period, to communicate with their students because Snapchat is designed to hide and delete messages and pictures.
Yeah.
The very first thing I would do is notify the administration that this is inappropriate. I don't approve of this method of communication. Most likely, the school is going to agree with you. And then I would report it to your law enforcement and say, hey, this teacher is Snapchatting my kid. Look, all of the teacher student relationships that I've popped when teachers are victimizing kids started through Snapchat
Wow.
because it's a secretive platform. The pictures get deleted after they're viewed. If somebody screenshots a picture, it notifies another person on the other end. It was designed for sexting. I believe it was designed for sexting because the platform is designed to hide and delete traces of activity. I would not, repeat, not. First of all, Snapchat's not allowed in my home. But two, Snapchat would not be allowed with school administrators, period. Coaches, Snapchat groups with students, absolutely not. The texting app on your phone can do group text now. That's what I would use because that's built into your phone and a parent can review it at any time. And if a educator or a coach or anybody that's a school employee, church employee, any grown adult wanting to Snapchat your kid is red flag. It would not happen in my house. Bad things will come out of it. I promise.
And it's like
Well,
you
I
said,
think part
it
of
doesn't
what
need
Mike,
to be above reproach. If you're going to talk to a kid, talk to the kid and their parent. That's so easy
right.
to do. Bring
Yes.
the parent in to the conversation.
But I think what Michael was getting at too is we literally last October in Edmond public schools. Oh, and Michael says, or another employee that knows it's happening. So, oh, okay. So, um, one of the things that happened in, I think it was Memorial,
Yes.
a trans student, a boy who was dressing as a girl, literally beat up another girl in a restroom. And it didn't even make any kind of news outlet at all until we reported it in December. And then the mom didn't even start suing until last month. So some of this stuff just kind of gets buried by the administration. So I think what Michael's trying to get at is if you go to the school and you say, hey, I have record of the Snapchat um, communication going back and forth between my kid and this coach. What are you going to do about it? They'll just push it under the rug a lot of the times, like we saw with this particular incident at Memorial. Do you simultaneously then, as a parent, take it to the sheriff's office or take it to your local PD and say, I just want you to know that this is happening? Because I don't think Edmond Memorial would have done anything had there not been a police report filed, in that situation. So I guess that's my bottom line
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. Don't just report it to the school. Report it to your law enforcement agency, whether it's city police or the sheriff's office. You know, make a deal out of it. if you're not getting anywhere, be the squeaky wheel. My dad always said the squeaky wheel gets the grease the first. So blast it out there, put it out there. I mean, a lot of these schools have parental groups already. Like Mustang Schools has a parental group. Yukon Schools, they have a parental group. Parents that share information. Put it out there. Show the records. Hey, if they don't see anything wrong, well, you know what? Is this coach reaching out to your kid? Is this educator reaching out to your kid? Are they Snapchatting? Then as the parent, that's when you need to lock that phone down. You need to delete Snapchat, turn on the parental rights so they can't re-download it. I mean, if nothing has crossed the line, it's coming. It's coming.
Right.
And most schools will act on it, I believe, because they know the propensity of having the media showing up with another teacher or kid sex scandal. I know what you're saying about the trans thing, but right now, schools are scared to death with the trans stuff. I mean, we hope laws get put out that empower the schools, but there are a lot of educators out there told that if Michael wants to be called Michelle or Michelle wants to be called Michael, you can't you can't contact the parents and ask if that's okay. You have to abide by their request. And schools are scared. Schools are scared. A lot of schools are afraid of being sued. And you know what? We need to get out of our head. That's why schools have attorneys. Sue us. We'll get it in the courts. And if I get it before 12 parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles, most likely I'm going to win, because they're going to say, no, Michael needs to be called Michael. Michelle needs to be called Michelle. Once they're out of school, once they're in a certified adult, they can do whatever they want. But
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we're past time, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to check out of my hotel room. So that's one. So they're going to kick me out, and I'm going to have to leave. So thank you so much for coming on, Major Flowers. And again,
and
I do see
another call out, shout out for us to be praying for our sheriffs and law enforcement that have to deal with all of this, because we do appreciate what you guys do for sure.
Absolutely. So thank you for keeping our kids safe, and thank you for visiting with us today. And I think you gave parents so much information, and if they don't follow up, then that's on them, not on you. So thank you again, and you stay dry today.
All righty. You enjoy Nashville.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Gosh, that was informative.
That was so informative.
Well, and if parents don't pick up on what he said and don't do what he said, they're not doing their job.
It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, so that's got to be. So here's what we have on for Wednesday and Friday of next week. So 7/12 on Wednesday, we're going to have Monica Klein.
Oh, yay.
And yes, Monica, and she was a comprehensive sex educator until she figured out what was going on with CSE and is not anymore. So she'll be a great interview. Yeah. Looking forward to that on Wednesday. And on Friday, we've got another parent who got so mad that she wasn't going to take it anymore. Tiffany Boyd started Free Your Children in 2020. And she kind of has a similar model that we do here in Oklahoma with ROPE, kind of a biblical basis for raising your kids and just telling parents what's going on. So next week, we've got some really great shows on both Wednesday and Friday. So we just really hope to see you next week. Tune in. I will not be in a hotel in Nashville. I won't be in any hotel. I'll finally be in my office at home. Jules, always great to see you. You stay dry too.
And you keep having fun in Nashville. I love Nashville.
I will. We're going to be here for just a little bit, and then we're going on to Memphis, and we are going to tour Graceland.
Well, of course, you've got to do that.
Why would we not?
Well, and
Precisely.
Go to the Peabody and watch the ducks.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. I'm hoping we can stay tonight at the Peabody. So we're going to do all these things. Yay. So watch for us on Instagram. No, just kidding. Thanks again. Thanks again, Jules. Great time. Excellent interview there. And I just think this is going to be one of our most enlightening shows. So parents, those of you who were on, thank you for being on. Please share this with your friends, because this is just so important for everybody, every parent to see. It's just things are not the same as when you were a kid, and they're sure not the same as when Julie and I were kids. All right, Jules.
Right.
Thanks again.
Bye.
We'll see you
You
soon.
bet.
All righty.
Okay.
Bye.